Okay, let's get into your reading, Pisces. Okay, if you are watching this, you are 100% meant to see this. This is for you, okay? I'm telling you right now, you feel like you are behind in life. And let me tell you something that couldn't be further from the truth. You are on your own timeline. And if you are seeing this, you are so lucky and so abundant and so blessed that your timeline does look different to other people's timelines. But there is a reason for that. And it is because you are going to obtain more success, more wealth, more happiness than the average human being. That is why you feel left behind in life. That is why you're feeling like you're not living like everybody else, or you don't, do the same things as everybody else. And it's because you're not supposed to. You are exactly where you are supposed to be, and you are going to live a life of absolute riches, absolute wealth, absolute luxury, absolute happiness, peace, and positivity with amazing health. You just wait. And mark my words, this is going to happen. And I want to sit with that word behind for a second, okay? Because I think it's been doing a lot of quiet damage to you. Behind implies there's a single road that everybody's on, and some people are further along it than you are. But that was never true. There are people who arrived early at something small, and there are people who arrive later at something that actually lasts. And from the outside, in the middle years, those two things look identical. And I want you to think about what your life has actually required of you, okay? You've had to build things from nothing that other people were handed. You've had to learn things by going through them rather than being taught them. And that takes longer. It genuinely does. But the thing you end up with at the end is built on something that doesn't come apart. I'm telling you, save this reading. Save this reading. Actually, you know what? Like the reading, because it will end up in your likes, but also it's a great way to save it because in the future you will be thinking about this reading. I just already know it. And you'll be thinking, I wonder where that girl went. I need to find her again. And I am here right now. Okay, so make sure that you save the reading, bookmark it, like it. Make sure that you're subscribed. Okay, I am telling you, claim this. Okay, claim it by commenting down below the current date and time, like the reading, and make sure that you are subscribed. Seal in and lock in the energies of this reading so it happens for you. And I want to say something about why the date matters here specifically, okay? Because a lot of you are going to scroll past that instruction. Writing down the date is not a ritual. It's a marker. It's you putting a pin in the exact moment you were told this was coming, so that later, when it arrives, you have proof you knew first. And that proof matters more than you think, because it's what makes you trust yourself the next time. The 10 of Pentacles. There we go. There's the 10 of Pentacles. I'm telling you, what I am seeing for you is not a joke, okay? There is a reason I am saying this. Because I believe so heavily in what I am saying. Because look, you are destined for so much success and money. And you know what? It goes beyond just money, right? There is fulfillment. There is joy. There is the ability here to have so much stability and wealth that you never feel unstable. You never have to go begging or pleading or chasing or accepting less than in your life, right? You will not have to accept certain people in your life just because of money. You will never have to be around certain people because, you don't want to lose stability. For example, you can say no to toxic people, places, situations, or people that you don't like because you will have your own stability and you won't have to rely on other people so much. But at the same time, you're going to have people around you who respect you and care for you and appreciate you like how you would for them. And I'm telling you, there's a beautiful energy here of just having absolute maximum stability. You can't even make this up. And I want to name what that specific freedom actually is, okay? Because it's the part of wealth nobody talks about properly. Most people describe money in terms of what it lets you buy, and the cards here are describing it entirely in terms of what it lets you refuse. The room you don't have to stay in. The person you don't have to be pleasant to. The job where you don't have to swallow something because you need what it pays. And I think some of you have been in that position for a long time, okay? Where your options were narrow enough that you had to tolerate things you'd never have tolerated otherwise. And it wore something down in you. Not dramatically, just slowly, over years. And the Ten of Pentacles is the answer to exactly that, okay? It shows an old man sitting at the edge of a courtyard with 2 dogs at his feet, a couple standing nearby, a child holding on to them, and an archway behind all of it, with a family crest built into the stone. 3 generations in one frame. And that's the whole meaning of the card, okay? It isn't money that arrives and gets spent. It's money that becomes structure, that turns into a house, into land, into something that outlives the person who earned it. It's the card of a foundation, not a windfall. And I want you to notice something about the figures in that image, okay? Because there are 3 generations standing in one courtyard, and not one of them looks like they're worried about anything. Nobody in that picture is calculating. Nobody is checking whether there's enough. And that absence of worry is actually what the card is promising you more than the money itself. Because I think a lot of you have never once experienced that, okay? Even in the better periods of your life, there was always a background calculation running, always a number in the back of your mind, always a version of the month where things would get tight again. And this card is describing the end of that calculation, okay? Not being rich in the way people imagine, but being able to open your eyes in the morning without immediately doing math. And the archway behind them, okay, with the family crest built into the stonework, that's the detail I want you to hold on to. Because a crest means the family has a name that outlasts the individual people in it. Something got established, something became permanent. And for a lot of you, okay, you are the first person in your line who gets to build that. Nobody handed you a foundation, so you became one. And everybody who comes after you gets to start from a completely different place because of what you're about to build. The number 10. If you see 1010, or repeating tens a lot, or just the number 10, it is such a big sign. You're going to see, okay, over the next 72 hours, a lot of tens. What does this mean? The number 10. Okay, so this is 10. This is also 10. It means you're getting to a place of completion, satisfaction. You're hitting the peak in terms of happiness. Your life is coming together. The missing piece of the puzzle in your life is coming together. Whether it's money, whether it's love, whether it's, something you feel like you're missing in your life, that is going to be fulfilled, okay? I'm talking about the kind of energy where, for example, I'm just going to give an example, okay? If, for example, there is someone that wants a child so badly, and they find it so hard to have one, and the missing piece of the puzzle is them just being able to have the child, right? This is them being able to have that child, and that is what I mean. Whatever the missing piece of the puzzle for you in your life is, you will have that granted. That will happen for you, and it is so beautiful, okay? I'm telling you, seeing the number 10, everyone talks about 11 to 11, and let me just say it is a beautiful angel number, okay? It is very powerful. But also 1010 needs to be spoken more about, okay? Because when you see 1010, it is about things in your life literally getting to a peak of satisfaction and having everything that you've ever wanted. It is so powerful. It is so powerful because you're going to have emotional fulfillment, emotional justice. Your path is just aligning beautifully. There's transformation, there's fulfillment, there's a happy home, there's investments, there's land, there's money, there's, generational wealth. There's a real sense here of community and family and not being lonely or alone. You will have good people around you that care for you, respect you, and understand you. It is so, so amazing. And I want to explain why 10 carries the weight it does, okay? Because it's the last number before the count starts again. Every suit in the deck runs 1 through 10, and the 10 is always the completed version of that suit's whole journey. It isn't a beginning. It isn't the middle. It's the moment the thing you were building is finally finished and standing on its own without your hands on it. And I want to be careful with the sign part too, okay? Because signs are confirmation, not a schedule. If you see 10s everywhere over the next few days, let it settle you. Let it tell you you're facing the right direction. But don't turn it into a deadline, because a deadline turns a blessing into an anxiety. And that isn't what this energy is for. And I want to name something honest about the missing piece, okay? Because everyone watching this knows immediately what theirs is. You didn't have to think about it. The second I said the words, one specific thing came up in your mind, and it's probably the thing you've stopped saying out loud because you got tired of hearing yourself want it. That one, okay? That's the one the cards are talking about. And I want to say something about why you stopped saying it out loud, okay? Because I don't think it was because you gave up on it. I think it was because saying it kept making it feel further away, and because people around you started responding with that particular kind of gentle pity that makes you decide to keep things to yourself instead. So it went inward, okay? And it's been sitting there quietly ever since, taking up more room in your life than anybody around you realizes. And I want you to let yourself want it openly again, at least while you're listening to this. Not carefully, not with the little disclaimer you usually add about how you'd be fine either way. You wouldn't be fine either way, okay? That's why it's the missing piece. And pretending otherwise was only ever a way of protecting yourself from how much it mattered. And this reading is telling you plainly that the protection isn't necessary anymore. The King of Cups. We also have here as well the King of Cups. So you will be around someone who's emotionally very available, emotionally kind, emotionally mature, emotionally respectful, someone that really loves you and cares for you and is super, super there for you and really stable and understanding and very genuine. There's a real sense here of adventure and fun and traveling, and the King of Cups sits on a throne floating on open water, okay? And the sea underneath him is moving, and he is completely steady on top of it. That's the entire card. Not a person who doesn't feel things, a person who feels everything and doesn't fall over because of it. And I want you to understand how rare that combination actually is, okay? Because most people are one or the other. There are people who feel deeply and drown in it, and there are people who stay steady by not feeling much at all. And both of those are exhausting to be close to in completely different ways. This card is neither of those, okay? This is someone who can hold their own weather without asking you to manage it for them, and who can hold yours without flinching when it gets heavy. And I want to name what emotional availability actually looks like day to day, okay? Because it's a phrase that gets used constantly and almost never explained properly. It isn't grand declarations. It isn't somebody telling you how they feel every hour of the day. It's somebody who tells you when something bothered them, okay? Instead of going quiet for 2 days and making you work out what you did wrong. It's somebody who can hear that you're upset without immediately defending themselves. It's somebody who doesn't make you pay a small price for having a bad week. And if you've never really had that, okay, the first experience of it is genuinely disorienting, because you'll keep waiting for the catch. You'll keep bracing for the other version of them to show up once the good behavior runs out, and it won't come. Okay, and that's going to take some getting used to. Temperance. We see here with Temperance, you feeling so much more just at peace. So if you struggle with anxiety, stress, agitation, worry, you worry about the future, you will feel so much more balanced because again, everything is balancing out, everything's coming together. You're not going to be struggling and suffering with this forever, okay? And I think that's really important. And the Temperance card shows an angel standing with 1 foot on solid ground and 1 foot in the water, pouring liquid between 2 cups without ever spilling a single drop. And the thing people miss about that image is that the pouring never stops. Balance in this card is not stillness. It's a continuous, gentle motion. And I want to say something honest to those of you who live with a lot of worry, okay? Because I don't want to hand you a card and tell you it's cured. What this card describes is relief, real relief. The kind where your baseline actually drops and your body stops bracing for the next thing. And a huge amount of the worry you've been carrying has been about stability, about whether things would hold. And that specific fear is what this whole spread is answering. And if what you're carrying is heavier than that, okay, if it's the kind of thing that's been sitting on you for years, there is no shame at all in getting real support alongside all of this. A reading can tell you where the energy is going, but it was never meant to be the only thing holding you up. The 6 of Cups and 6 of Cups, people coming towards you, opportunities aligning for you. There's a beautiful sense here as well romantically of someone pursuing you, coming towards you, showing you their intentions, showing you how much they care about you. And the 6 of Cups, okay, is so beautiful because it's about this really beautiful energy, which is to do with harmony and peace and balance, And this card shows 2 children standing in a garden, okay? One of them handing the other a cup filled with white flowers, and there's no negotiation happening in that image. No conditions, no keeping score. It's the simplest possible version of giving, which is somebody offering you something purely because they wanted you to have it. And I want to say something to those of you who've forgotten what that feels like, okay? Because I know some of you have. You've been in enough situations where kindness came with an invoice attached, where a favor was really a deposit, where someone was generous with you and then reminded you about it later. And it made you cautious about receiving anything at all. This card is the opposite of that, okay? It's the card of memory too, of something familiar coming back around. So for some of you, this isn't a stranger at all. This is someone from your story, returning with a completely different offer than the one they had before. The King of Swords. And especially with the King of Swords, I just see you feeling so uplifted and so confident and so motivated. And the King of Swords here is also about just people respecting you, people appreciating you, people liking you, and people being there for you, and you feeling just so much stronger and so much happier because you will think to yourself, like, wow, there's a real sense here of just feeling good, like miracles will start to occur. Fulfillment will start to happen. Your energy will not tank or feel overwhelming. It will feel open and proactive, and you will feel excited and happy. And there's a really beautiful energy here of just feeling your best and feeling your strongest and feeling super, super motivated. And the King of Swords sits facing directly forward, okay? Sword held upright in his right hand, butterflies carved into his throne, clouds moving behind him. And he's the only court card in the entire deck who looks straight out at you instead of off to the side. That's the card of being seen clearly and being taken seriously. And I want you to notice what this card is actually describing, okay? Because it isn't people suddenly deciding you're worth respecting. The respect follows the confidence, not the other way around. What changes here is how you carry yourself, and the way people treat you reorganizes itself around that And I want to explain why that happens, okay? Because it can sound like something mystical, and it really isn't. When you've been under strain for a long time, you make yourself smaller without noticing. You apologize before you speak. You soften every request. You take up less room in conversations than you're entitled to. And people read that, okay, not consciously, but they read it and they adjust how much they give you accordingly. And when the pressure lifts, all of that reverses on its own. You stop pre-apologizing. You ask for things plainly. You let a silence sit instead of rushing to fill it. And people respond to that immediately, okay? And it will feel like the world changed toward you, when really what changed was that you stopped carrying something that was bending you forward. And I'm telling you, if you are watching this, okay, you're going to see tens. And when you see those tens, you're hitting the 10. Okay, it's like that show, what was it called? Strictly Come Dancing or something like that, right? Where they have to rate the dancers and they go 10, and everyone's like, wow, you're going to get a 10, okay? Your life will feel like a 10. And I think that is the big thing. The Queen of Cups. So we've got here the Queen of Cups. So again, match made in heaven. If you're worried about love, like, please don't even worry. You're not going to die alone, okay? It's really important for me to mention that here. You're going to feel like there is truly a partner in crime, like a partner that just understands you. You're going to feel your best. You're most uplifted. Look at you in your land with all your wealth and all your success, looking freaking fabulous. Whether you're male or female or however you identify, I read energies, not specifically genders. And here you are looking absolutely fabulous. And the Queen of Cups is the one queen in the deck whose cup has a lid on it, okay? And I always want to point that out because it means her feelings are held, contained, carried carefully, not spilled out everywhere for people to walk through. And I think that's a lot of you, okay, because you've felt enormous amounts and shown very little of it. And people have mistaken your composure for not caring, and it's the exact opposite. You cared so much that you learned to keep the lid on so nobody could use it against you. And the promise in this card, okay, is that you get to be somewhere where the lid can come off without anything bad happening afterward, okay? If you have been dealing with things like headaches or scalp issues or a lot of like hair shedding, hair loss, or issues to do with the head, I will say one thing, or, mentally you've been feeling drained and exhausted, or emotionally drained and exhausted, I have to tell you something very powerful, that those particular issues are going to ease up for you, because purple here is one of the very strong colors that I'm seeing here. Like, you'll feel so good within yourself and so happy. So that's something that I'm really seeing here. And things are just going to improve drastically and very vastly for you in a way that makes you feel really good. And I want to be straight with you about that part, okay? Because a lot of what's been draining you has been the constant low-level strain of holding everything together alone. And that kind of exhaustion is real, and it shows up in the body before it shows up anywhere else. And it lifts when the pressure lifts, and the pressure is lifting. Which is why this came through at all. And purple, okay? Purple is the color of the crown, of the highest point, of things being restored at the top rather than patched at the bottom. And that's what's coming through here. And I want to speak now to the part of you that's been the most tired, okay? Because there's a very specific exhaustion that comes from waiting. It isn't the same as working hard. Working hard has an end you can see. Waiting doesn't. And that's what makes it heavy. And you have been waiting a long time, okay? You've watched other people's lives resolve while yours stayed open. And you've had to keep believing in something with very little evidence handed to you along the way. And I want to acknowledge that plainly, because nobody has. The faith it took to keep going without confirmation is not a small thing. And this reading arriving today is the confirmation finally showing up. And I want to say something about how this is likely to actually arrive, okay? Because I don't want you expecting a single dramatic moment. The Ten of Pentacles is not a lightning strike card. It's a card of accumulation, of things stacking, one on top of another, until one ordinary morning you look around and realize the whole thing is standing. So the first signs of this are going to be small, okay? A door opening that wasn't open before. A person entering your life who's easier than the last one. A month where the numbers work out without you having to move things around. And you'll be tempted to dismiss those as ordinary because they'll come in quietly. Okay, that's what setting looks like from the inside. And I want to name what this asks of you in the meantime, okay? Because it does ask something. It asks you to stop shrinking your expectations to protect yourself. A lot of you have gotten very good at wanting less so that disappointment costs less. And that strategy worked for a while. But it doesn't work here because you can't build a Ten of Pentacles life on Two of Pentacles hopes, okay? The size of what's coming requires you to actually let yourself want it. And I want to say something to the ones who've been alone in this, okay? Because community came through very clearly, and I don't think it landed for everybody. Some of you have been carrying your entire life by yourself with no one to tell about the good days, and no one to lean on during the bad ones. And you adapted to that, okay? You got self-sufficient. You learned to be your own encouragement. And there's real strength in that, but it wasn't supposed to be permanent. The cards here are describing a table with people around it, not just a bank balance, family, whether that's the one you were born into or the one you build on purpose. People who understand you without you having to explain yourself first. And I want to be honest about how that arrives, okay? Because people don't usually appear all at once. It starts with one person who's easy to be around. One person who checks in without being asked. Who remembers something you mentioned in passing. Who doesn't make you do all the work of the friendship. And that one person changes your standard, okay? And once your standard moves, you stop making room for the ones who were only ever taking up space. And the room that clears is exactly the room the next good person walks into. So it compounds, okay? Slowly at first, and then not slowly at all. And before the final message, I want to leave a few things to actually hold on to, okay? The first, you were never behind, loves. You were on a longer road because of the size of what's at the end of it. And I want you to genuinely stop measuring your life against people whose road was never the same length as yours. The comparison was always going to make you feel like you were failing, because you were comparing a foundation being poured to a house someone else already finished. The second, the wealth in this reading is about refusal as much as it's about arrival. The freedom to say no, to walk out of rooms, to stop tolerating people you only tolerate because of what you'd lose. And I want you to notice when it starts, how much of your energy comes back the moment you stop spending it on people you're only enduring. The third, let yourself receive it when it comes. That sounds simple, and it is the hardest thing in this whole reading. People who've had to earn everything often can't accept anything, and if you meet the King of Cups or the Queen of Cups energy in this spread with your guard fully up, you'll make them prove themselves for years over something they were offering freely on day one. And I want to answer one more thing. Okay, why this reached you today on this exact date with this much specific detail? Because you had started to quietly wonder whether you'd missed your window, whether the good version of your life was something that was supposed to have started already and hadn't. and maybe wasn't going to, and that is not true, okay? And today is the day you were meant to be told. I don't pull the 10 of Pentacles, the King of Cups, Temperance, the 6 of Cups, the King of Swords, and the Queen of Cups, all agreeing this specifically by accident, and I wouldn't tell you to mark the date if the energy behind it wasn't this consistent. And I want to speak to the small doubting part of you for a second, okay? The one quietly thinking, but readings like this are for other people. That voice isn't wisdom. It's a conclusion you drew during a stretch of your life when nothing was going right, and it stayed long after that stretch ended. Set it down for tonight. This is already clear, okay? The 10 of Pentacles confirmed lasting wealth, land, stability, and generational security. The number 10 confirmed completion. The missing piece being granted, and 10s appearing as your sign over the next 72 hours. The King of Cups confirmed an emotionally available, steady, genuine person arriving. Temperance confirmed real peace replacing the anxiety and worry. The 6 of Cups confirmed people and opportunities moving toward you with nothing attached. The King of Swords confirmed respect, confidence, and motivation returning. And the Queen of Cups confirmed love, partnership, and not being alone. So let me lay this all out one final time, okay? Slowly, so it actually settles. You are not behind, okay? You are on a longer timeline because the life at the end of it is bigger than a short timeline could hold. What's coming is stability, real stability, the kind that lets you refuse things, the kind that outlives you. The missing piece, the one that came to mind the second I said it, that one is being granted, and you will not be doing any of it alone because people who respect you and understand you are already moving toward you. Watch for 10s over the next 72 hours and let them be your confirmation that today was the day. One message: you were never late. You were being built for something that takes longer. If this resonated, loves, let me know what hit hardest and claim it down below with the date and time. I genuinely read every comment, okay, even the ones I can't always reply to individually. Your story becomes part of the reason this reading keeps finding the next person who needs it too, like this reading. And make sure that you're subscribed. And I'll see you in the next one. Wherever you're watching this from, okay, I want you to actually feel this settle in before you go. You have spent a long time watching other people arrive, okay, and being genuinely happy for them while quietly wondering when it would be your turn, and you never got bitter about it. And that matters more than you know, because a lot of people in your position would have hardened. They'd have gotten cynical or resentful or stopped being generous with people who had what they wanted. You didn't do that, okay? You kept your heart open through a season that gave you every reason to close it. And that's exactly why what's coming is this big, because you stayed the kind of person who could actually hold it. So mark today, okay? Write the date somewhere, and when it starts arriving, and it will come back and read this again. And remember that you knew first. Take care of yourself. Bye, loves.